Good evening. My name is Edward George. Welcome to a special one-off, never to be repeated, Strangeness of Warburg. Eric Dolphy, from his 1964 album Out to Lunch, Something Sweet, Something Tender. Earlier on, there were these three screams. In the autumn of 1918, Abby Warburg's mental health was declining rapidly. Since the spring, he had acknowledged the deterioration of my condition and mentioned an increase in nervous ailments. In his correspondence of those months, he confesses repeatedly that I am very lonely, or that I need fixing. Those close to him remember haunting episodes in which Warburg broke randomly into screaming fits. That's an excerpt from Tangled Paths, A Life of Abby Warburg, from Hans C. Holmes. I read that, I looked more than once at the digitally coloured photograph on the cover of Holmes' book, taken, the book says, circa 1925. I thought about Abby Warburg screaming. In the photograph, he looks as though at some point in his life he had experienced a kind of collapse, as if a kind of disappearance had taken place. I thought about Abby Warburg in 1918 screaming, and I thought about the ghostly, haunted figure in Edvard Munch's 1893 painting, The Scream. The figure looks terrified. He is covering his ears, and you can't tell whether he's trying to silence something inside his head or in the world around him. Holmes says of Warburg, in between stays in various clinics, his trust in the individual's ability to exert a civilizing power by means of reflection seems to have crumbled. Edvard Munch wrote a text to accompany his painting. I was walking along the road with two friends. The sun was shining. The sky turned blood red and I felt a wave of sadness. I stood still, tired to death. Above the blue-black fjord and city, blood and flaming tongues hovered. My friends walked on, I remained behind, shaking with angst. I felt the great scream in nature. I thought about Abby Warburg. I thought about the screaming figure in Edvard Munch's painting. And I thought about James Brown.
Maybe the last time. It may be the last time. It may be the last time we shake hands. Maybe the last time we make plans. I don't know. Maybe the last time. I got a heart of stone.
James Brown in 1964, screaming. Not only screaming, but telling us he must scream, he's got to scream. And screaming himself into the future, often in the third person, always in key. Listen long enough, and the scream in the phonographic world of James Brown can sound like an echo of a foundational terror. The terror, perhaps, of enslavement. An echo of a memory transformed into an aesthetic, electro-acoustic event, an artistic expression. Look long enough, or maybe too long, at the photograph of Warburg on the cover of Tangled Paths, and the scream in Monk in James Brown becomes an expression of an audio-visual, aesthetico-historical continuity between Warburg and the image of the Black Archive through the medium of fine art and popular music. The memory of a loss of the self in time, in the duration and the silence of the forgetting that follows the scream, repeats itself in the photograph of Warburg, in the historically integral photographs in the archive, those that visualize the years of the transatlantic slave trade and its resonances in the mid-20th century, in mid-20th century segregated America, compelled the archive into existence. Can I have a glass of water, please? This is the historical trauma to which the archive responds, and whose visual history is gathered in fragments in the archive. There is an engraving, for example, from the 19th century, of an image of smoke or flames, or both, rising from a branding iron which is being burned into a woman's shoulder. The title of the image describes its content, branding of a negress. Illustrator H. Rimbaud. The date or image number is 50, perhaps 1850. The image of the branding is a repetition of an image in a painting from, the archive says, circa 1833 by Francois Auguste Biard. Biard. The slave trade, in parenthesis, slaves on the west coast of Africa. The branding repeats itself in the same figure and the same woman in the repetition of an image of a moment of amnesia. Thank you. The scream has its counterpoint in the silence of forgetting in the duration of traumatic violence. On trauma and forgetting, by way of a brief sweep across the internet, this. Trauma can affect brain functionality and structure in various ways. And one of these ways is to change and suppress memories. Your hippocampus, the key structure that manages memory formation and retrieval, can trigger memory loss as a defense mechanism to shield you from recalling and reliving traumatic experiences. Psychological trauma can have a profound impact on your well-being. As well as affecting memory, trauma can also trigger a stress response that leads to post-traumatic stress disorder and the development of severe anxiety, alongside trauma-induced memory loss. That is from the website of a London-based private clinic by the name of Demontech Neurosciences Clinical Academic Centre, partnered, the website says, with University College Hospitals, and they continue. Psychical trauma can also cause post-traumatic stress disorder, which can lead to temporary memory loss. Severe injuries and physical trauma, can produce PTSD, which can cause memory loss to help individuals cope with the traumatic event. The length of memory loss depends on the severity of the injury. In the US, from the website of the 100-year-old Cleveland Clinic in Ohio, keeping in mind the woman, real or imaginary, real and imaginary, whose image is repeated in Rimbaud's illustration and Bayard's painting. Dissociative amnesia is when your mind blocks out information, important information about yourself, causing gaps in memory. One of the most common reasons your mind blocks out things is to protect you from unpleasant, distressing, or traumatic experiences. It's not the same as simply forgetting. In most cases, you still have the memories, but you can't access them. Dissociative amnesia often happens because of very traumatic experiences, including abuse, war, and natural disasters. People with dissociative amnesia have an increased risk of self-harm or suicidal behaviours. And from their 1893 text on the psychical mechanisms of hysterical phenomena by Brewer and Freud, an insistence. Forgetting, say the founders of psychoanalysis, is the strict condition of trauma. I guess that means that in trauma, the woman twice branded is, for the duration of forgetting, outside of time, and is, for a moment, no longer present to herself, and is thus unable to recall the moments of trauma because she is not, strictly speaking, there. And maybe this state of amnesia, of not being present to oneself, is the condition of what could be viewed as an archive of protective and fatal absences in the moment and in the aftermath of multiple moments of trauma. Against this silence, the plantation is the location of slave songs, or was the location of slave songs, inclusive of songs of insurrection and songs in praise of violent insurrection. One thing I wanted to do in this presentation was see if I could find music that in some way or other offered a sonic correspondence, a temporal continuity or a temporal disturbance with the time contained in the images collected in the archive. I want to play you something from an album released in 2022 containing contemporary recordings of recently discovered songs written by slaves and abolitionists called Songs of Slavery and Emancipation. In an interview with music journal No Depression Roots Music and Culture, co-producer Matt Callahan says the album began with the discovery of the words to a song written in 1813 titled The Hymn of Freedom. The interview, Shake Off Your Chains, the story behind Songs of Slavery and Emancipation, starts with a line from that song. Arise, arise, shake off your chains, your cause is just, so heaven ordains, to you shall freedom be proclaimed. Callahan explains, I found this text in an old beat-up pamphlet published in 1939 called Negro Slave Revolts in the United States, 1526 to 1860. I was leafing through this pamphlet when I caught sight of these lyrics and they leaped off the page. They were apparently composed and sung by slaves gathering at a clandestine meeting to plan an insurrection. This was in 1813 in South Carolina. The lyrics were explicitly revolutionary and they were like none I'd ever seen associated with Negro spirituals or other vernacular music from before the Civil War. I brought the pamphlet and began studying it. Later in the interview, Callahan talks about what drew him to the song. I'd never heard or heard of explicit calls to arms for collective resistance to the slave system. This raised more questions than the authenticity of a particular song. If there were many slave revolts over hundreds of years, wasn't it more likely that there would be songs about them than not? Callahan could have been talking about the lyrics and the subject of another song on the album titled Nat Turner, in name of the leader of the Southampton insurrection in Virginia in 1830, whose intent, beyond the failure of the insurrection, was, Turner claimed, to spread terror through the slave-owning South, which he did as much by the violence of his insurrection as by the publication of his apocalyptic account of its intent, which was published in a pamphlet, The Confessions of Nat Turner. Believing that Turner's insurrection was a general conspiracy, the people throughout the states of Virginia were highly excited. The governor of the Commonwealth called the military. He asked the Navy to distribute a portion of the public arms under his control and ordered detachments of the light infantry from the 7th and 54th Regiments, from the 4th Regiment of Cavalry, and also from the 4th Light Artillery to take the field. 2 further regiments were also called into service with a detachment of sailors from Mississippi, as well as assistance from Mississippi's Fortress Monroe. Generals, commanders, commodores, colonels, and lieutenant colonels across the South were all prepared for the worst rebellion in the history of the slave-owning South. This is what we find in the aftermath of Nat Turner's insurrection, an article by John W. Cromwell published in the April 1920 edition of the Journal of Negro History. Cromwell tells us that for his crime, Turner was hanged. His body was given over to the surgeons for dissection. He was skinned to supply such souvenirs as purses, his flesh made into grease, and his bones divided as trophies to be handed down as heirlooms. It is said that there still lives a Virginian who has a piece of his skin which was tanned, that another Virginian possesses one of his ears, and that the skull graces the collection of a physician in the city of Norfolk. Produced by Nat Callahan, Yvonne Moore, and Joe Johnson, this, if all goes well, is the Bria Songs of Slavery and Emancipation Ensemble.
You can't keep the world from moving around, nor that Turner from gaining ground. You can't keep the world from moving around, nor that Turner from gaining ground. You might be rich as free and drive you coach and four-seat, but you can't keep the world from moving around, nor that Turner from gaining ground. You can't keep the world from moving around, nor that Turner from gaining ground. You might be reader and writer too, and wiser than old Solomon the Jew, but you can't keep the world from moving around, nor that Turner from gaining ground. You can't keep the world from moving around, nor that Turner from gaining ground. And your name it might be Caesar Shore, and got you can shoot a mile or more. But you can't keep the world from moving around, nor that Turner from gaining ground. You can't keep the world from moving around, nor that Turner from gaining ground. You might be a carol from Carrollton, arriving at a forlorn creation. You can't keep the world from moving around, nor that Turner from gaining ground. You can't keep the world from moving around, nor that Turner from gaining ground. You can't keep the world from moving around, nor that Turner from gaining ground.
The Berea Songs of Slavery and Emancipation Ensemble with Nat Turner. If you're interested, the album has a film and a 64-page booklet published by the University Press of Mississippi. In the music of, or for, Black Atlas, the plantation is the ground of a theory of knowledge, whose medium is the blues, and whose iterations include jazz, understood, I should say, as a practice-based knowledge of music, of song, the song's pre-linguistic prehistory, and the undoing of language in song. Let's see if I can give you another tune. More music. his 1969 album Black Woman, featuring Milford Graves on drums and Linda Sharrock on vocals, Sonny Sharrock, portrait of Linda in 3 colors, all black. In dub, whose improvisational form could be said to have in jazz what Seymour Wright calls a pre-echo, the image of traumatic non-presence, of a traumatic warping of presence, finds its phonic correlate, its aesthetic transformation, in a process-based approach to non-presence in music, whose location is that of a former plantation, the Waterhouse plantation. This is King Tubby. Strangeness Einstein, by way of his ellipse above our head, would, I think, approve King Tubby and the Scatterlads, root stuffs from 1975 or thereabouts. Dub, in its, what have I got here? Dub, the aestheticized acoustic image of traumatic non-presence, of the traumatic warping of presence, finds expression, contemporary expression, in the music of Africa. From Senegal, by way of Berlin, this, from their 2025 album Kadim, is Mark Ernestus's Ndaga Rhythm Force.
Hey, so wala fu mu jógee àdduna bi jeex na ba pare li nga xam ci man ba dem yow di ma toogee di ma yàlla ci benn tàggu la di may dox sama wërsëg la tay ñu juróomi baaraam yu wutee di jéem a xam li ma naqari yaa ngi jéem a xool nan ngay mën a def ba mu yam yàlla mooy ibijee albuloo ko si nee leen albuloo ko si soo ma rasulee daf may woo ndaxam sax ñoom ñoo lay woo di la jooy waaye moom bari may jóg di la reetaan wax ci man ñaaw soo ko déggee mooy tàcc leen ko wër sa jàmm ngir bëgg a xam ci lu ma ne lay jaral di yoon yow fi nga wokk foofoo xasal delloo fasal loxo fi nga wokk foofoo xasal delloo fasal loxo ki nga wokk foofoo xasal fi nga wokk foofoo xasal fi nga wokk foofoo xasal delloo fasal loxo fi nga wokk foofoo xasal
Early on, in the making of Black Atlas, trauma presents itself as the binding boundary, the animate, troubled, negative space between the world inside the head of Abby Warburg and the world to which the multiple diegeses that comprise the images in the archive housed downstairs in the library of the Warburg Institute gesture. Which is to say that there, downstairs, as if there, down a flight of stairs, a basement could be considered a place of the unconscious, as if architecture could be the habitation of the unconscious, something of the memory of trauma, inasmuch as this memory is an integral part, even or especially in its absence of any memorializing of Abby Warburg, houses an archival collection gathered in response, then, in racially segregated America, to the transgenerational reverberations of the transatlantic slave trade, whose reverberations are present here, now, in a segregation whose post has yet to fully arrive, and whose manifestations in the present intertwine the psychic, the social, and the spatio-temporal, even as what passes in the present for the present is disjuncted by trauma and the violence of its residues. What trauma disrupts and disallows is presence, which is enough to make you wonder whether what is gathered here, downstairs, and there, outside, can be viewed as a gathering of the figuration of non-presence, of moments in more than one history, of someone's tragic absence from themselves, which is not to say that all that is gathered here is reducible to trauma, but that it is through the structuring detritus of historical trauma that the collection resonates in the present. Trauma in the amnesic moment of the scream and the shattering of the self, in the embodied echoes and repetitions of this shattering, forecloses a foundational intimacy. There is, in the scream, a falling away of the self from language. Maybe one of the legacies of trauma is an abyssal, historic loneliness, in which is present a calling for the very proximity to the self that trauma prohibits. Intimacy, I thought to myself, takes place in the absence of presence, in the presence of subjectivities marked and structured by non-presence through music. It is, I thought, the sound of music through which intimacy is restored. Something bittersweet for those whose presence in the present is structured by the macro and micro instituting of a historical want of all that could be designated in the name of the linguistic descriptor, tenderness. And if dub takes place through what King Tubby called the implements, his implements of sound, then perhaps jazz, best understood in the here and now, less as a genre, a form, or a modality, than as a medium of possibilities realized through improvisation, institutes, implements a space of complex tenderness through the polylogic intimacy of breath and kinesis, of calling, listening, and responding. The thing I experienced in the music of Christabel Ephemina Riley and Seymour Wright, which is in a sense a dialogical polylogue, is precisely this intimacy. You could think of the music they make together as XCRSWX, as the work of a doubled coupling. There is music, there is love. Saying that, nothing of the imperial sentimentalism of Romanticism's reverberations in popular or almost popular or non-popular music, nor of a seemingly post-imperial, post-romantic cleaving to genre, or the supremacist longings of race and gendered hierarchy that continues to haunt jazz and its distant outposts, is present in their music. the value of their music, not only the value, not only the beauty, is in its capacity for housing, or better yet, sheltering, the silences through which the scream of trauma, its pre-echo, and its traces, in Black Atlas and its archival source, is given voice. Here is a preview of their forthcoming album, Mood Board. This is Ufisi. You have been listening to a scratchy, rough and tumble, one-away edition of The Strangeness of Abbey Warburg with myself, Edward George. Big respects to Matthew Harlan, all concerned. Much love to the audience for just sticking it out. Walk with love, talk with love, be with love, peace and love, one love. Mind how you go, be kind.